When things end, do we celebrate them? How do we look back upon that time? Do we grow in resentment or victimhood? Or do we look back and see what opportunity did that create? What wisdom did I grow within myself? How can I see this as something that serves me as a man? That's what we're going to talk about here tonight on this Man to Man call. We're here because we want to live a life of freedom, of passion within our relationships and for our own selves, regardless. We want the freedom to feel confident within ourselves no matter what, and the freedom to make the most important promises to ourselves. So this concept of celebrating endings, good or bad, I find when we're in the midst of it, of course, we can't see the forest for the trees, and we don't know where a beginning starts and an ending ends. Where is the ending? As I said earlier on a call, sometimes the ending has a flourish with a gavel, a gavel striking the desk, yeah? And that's a different kind of ending. But most endings, there is no flourish, there is no fanfare, there is no gavel necessarily. We get to decide, we get to choose the meaning or the beginning and when that happens. So when it's raining outside, storming outside, how do we look at things? Do we sit inside and bemoan what we are not able to do? Or can we look back or have perspective, have conscious perspective of what's actually happening? And how can we grab a hold of today in a different way than we did yesterday or last year or 10 years ago? If we're focused on the emotion of the moment, then everything else will be blurry. We won't be able to see beyond the pane of glass that we've put in front of us, so to speak. We won't know necessarily what's out there. And sure, we can stay in that spot, but that's not freedom. That's not empowering. That's not inspiration. And what's the opportunity cost for staying stuck behind the glass? That's what I want to ask you, gentlemen, about here tonight. So let's talk about new beginnings and whether you're celebrating them, how you look at them, what your perspective is on them. Come on in. I want to hear about lunchtime today. You said your wife asked you to lunch, yeah, and you were nervous about it earlier. Tell us about it, please. Come on in.
Let's see. We went to with some friends, Air Force Wyoming game. That was a really good game, and we sat there and enjoyed the game. And then while waiting for everybody to drive out of this huge parking lot, which was like another half an hour to wait, we talked and so forth, just small talk. And like almost all the cars were gone, and she sat in her car, and I'm there outside, and he says, "Hey, you want to do lunch or dinner like on Tuesday or Wednesday?" And I was a little bit okay, just a little bit on that. I kind of wish he didn't put that invitation out there, because it's about initiating, leading. Leading or taking initiative is probably something I'm weak at or have been, and I'm wanting to get stronger at it. She has no problem of just start going and making plans for things. And anyways, it kind of put me in a different position. I said, yeah, we could do that. And I'm trying to remember. I think this morning I said, okay, hey, so what if we do? No, I can't remember if it's yesterday or today, about doing lunch today. Said, let's do it lunch today versus the other three options. I said, okay. And then she texted me back, let's do it at 1:00, right? And then said, let's meet downtown. And so she's there again and again making the decisions.
Right.
So and while we were, during that other Zoom meeting, I was thinking about it, and I was just becoming anxious. And we've been married. Actually, our anniversary's coming up in about a week. Yeah.
Okay. What were you anxious about when you were thinking about lunch earlier? It was coming up. What was your mind saying?
Where is this going to go, and what do I want? And what does she want?
Well, you can only control one of those things, right? Which is what you want.
Yeah.
So what do you want? What did you want?
That's go back a handful of years or so, I'd want her. Right. Now, I'm in my mind, one of the things that has always been a weakness is being concerned what other people think, being the people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to, okay, what is the right thing to do, and what is what other people want me to do? And that's been the challenge. Like, just because someone wants it doesn't mean it's the wrong thing for me, nor the right thing. So I'm trying to push that aside. However, it still lingers back here.
I'm getting the sense you may be overthinking it. So
I will.
Okay. Okay. So just blunt, pretend it's just me and you over a beer, nobody else is listening, this kind of thing. just shoot it to me fucking straight. Like, what would you want with her? Do you want chat with her, not even be around her, fuck her over the, bend her over the couch? Like, what would you want?
What do I really want? I think what I want, and of course, there would be that whole thing of need. I want a woman that adores me. Okay. I told you that story, the three people in the car, what the lady said, I'm driving Uber. I want that. I want her to like, oh, wow, Carl, I want to be with you. I don't feel that. And that could be part of me not being the man that she envisions, fantasizes about. But I want her, I want to be wanted.
Sure. So what would that look like? Keep it simple. What would that look like? Let me tell a quick story, right? 2005 was the last year when I was with my son's mom. Okay. She cheated. We got separated, divorced. The next spring, she reached out to me. She wanted to date me again. And this is when I'd been doing 6 months of men's work at that time, 6, 7 months groups. I thought, okay, interesting. Maybe I can keep our family together. Maybe I can see if she's, wanting me. Let's see how this goes. And she would cancel on me a vast majority of the time. And when she didn't cancel, she fucking didn't look like she wanted to be there. And I really had perspective then because I'd been dating other women that just couldn't wait to unzip my pants, other women that were, all smiles when they saw me, eye contact, touching their hair, all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And my ex didn't look like any of those things, wasn't interested in that. So I had this stark perspective of the difference. And when we got a little deeper underneath the surface, I'm still the bad guy. It's all my fault. Shit that happened 8 years prior was still, it didn't matter. And all this other stuff that was in the way. And I said, you know what? I don't think we should see each other anymore. I told my, son's mom that I was dating, and I don't think we should be physical with each other anymore. And she got angry with me because I was no longer an option. It looked like I was just the backup option, and I'm nobody's fucking backup option. Now, when I was in the shit in 2015, the year before that, I didn't have any perspective. My value, the sense of worth of who I had was still through her eyes at that time. I hadn't done any men's work that time. Okay. I'd done a lot of my own personal work, but not this particular work. So I was still, I don't want her to go and all this stuff, but I had no perspective on myself, who I was, my value, so to speak, right? And how other women could adore me and want me, and how to cultivate that with a woman long term too. And I think that's what you're kind of insinuating. So let me drive it home a little bit.
Okay.
Let's say you have lunch with your wife and you have a feeling like you want to kiss her, and you're in the parking lot and you say, come over here and kiss me on the mouth. You say to her, that would be leadership, assuming that's what you want. That would be leadership. That would be something that you want. And then you let her decide. Is she going to do it? Is she not going to do it? You can read her face. You can read her body language. Does she giggle? Is she into it? Does she do it? But you have to make a decision in, like, let's say that moment, that's something that you're going to tell her you want. That's something you're going to ask for, with a period on the end of the sentence. Right?
There was, maybe a month, 2 months. No, it almost have to be 2 months ago. Now, let me back up here a little bit. I don't know if you remember, sold her house. She was with her mother in Switzerland visiting. And, I've been like talking about moving out. I can't be with, my son and his kids. It's driving me crazy. So I moved out, got an apartment, just did it on my own. And she's like, you got an apartment? I said, yeah, I've been telling you this for over a month now. That kind of shocked her, I guess. But then, I don't know, at my son's house, the one we sold, she still lives there with her son. And we're standing on the front porch talking about whatever. And I decided, and I was thinking about it, overthinking it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to walk up to her, kind of put my arm around the small of her back and just draw her in and kiss her. And did. Just a short little kiss. And she kind of lit up a little bit. And I can't remember, something around the car as I was leaving. I can't remember. She seemed to have a little bit more, she was a little bit more, just a little bit uplifted, chipper.
I'm going to jump in for sake of time and pacing here, buddy. Okay.
Okay.
So I've asked you a couple of times of what you want, and you haven't been able to answer me.
Yeah.
And so that's a problem, because if I'm your woman in front of you and you're like, man, I don't know, and you just don't do anything. Okay. Doing nothing is a choice. Right?
Yeah.
So what do you think that you want with her? Keep it simple.
I'd like the marriage to continue, but there'd be a fire there that has not been there.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to feel that. And I know she's not seen any other guys or wants any other guys, but she wants me to be the man.
Sure. So let's pretend that she is a pile of dry wood, like good logs that you're going to burn, like for the fire, for a fireplace. Okay, let's
Uh-huh.
pretend that she's got the dry wood, like she maybe wants you, but she's waiting for what? She's waiting for you to have something to start the fire, to fuel the fire, the beginnings of the fire, and to light the fire. So some kind of starter and some kind of, spark or fire. But if the logs just sit there, nothing's going to happen. Okay. So like, you don't know if the logs are wet or dry necessarily, but if you assume that they're dry and you go for it, then you'll find out. But you won't be able to find out unless you know you want to try to start the fire here and to take action to do it. Yeah. Now, that let me circle back. Let me press pause and circle back. I've seen, speaking of celebrating endings, I've seen you celebrate moving out. I've seen you celebrate not having demands of anyone around you. I've seen you celebrate yourself and your power and who you are. So that's fucking great. Now it's time. And I don't know if you just kind of don't know what to do, or you're afraid of rejection, or you just kind of get stuck in your head, but it's time to dance the staircase, to step one step up the staircase, as I talk about. Do you agree? Do you think so?
I think you kind of, all those little things I should do is all the things I should do. I mean, which I can't remember what you just said though. But
well, if you were dating this woman, like real quick, right, guys? If you go on a date with a woman, you want to go for the kiss toward the end of the first date if you're into her at all, because you want to polarize her. You want to see if she's into you. And by the way, if you don't go for the kiss, usually on the first date, she'll think you're not into her. So that's our fucking fault if we don't go for the kiss. And then, by the whatever, in your opinion, third date, fourth date, you go for more because you want to. Okay. And if you don't, she'll think you're not into her. It's the logs are sitting there. You don't know if they're dry. You don't know if they're wet. But if you're into her, you got to go for it.
Well, that taking initiative, being decisive, knowing what I want, these are always been challenges.
Yeah, and it's like, you don't have to try to eat the whole elephant. It's not like that. I've got two big mottos. One is do the next best thing in business, in parenting, in sex, in life. Do the next best thing that I know how to do. And if I have no idea, I go ask a good handful of professionals, or I read. And so, I get an idea, and then I do the next best thing. My second motto is play checkers, not chess. And it's like you're trying to play chess, and the other person doesn't even know what the hell the game is, basically. Like you're outplaying yourself, it seems like. Yeah. So one thing at a time. You gotta step forward to see what's going to happen, basically.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. And to be clear, you have to know what it feels like or looks like for a woman to be into you. That's why I said, come over here and kiss me on the mouth. You have to give her something to push against. Yeah. Cool. Good stuff. Tell us about your celebration of a turn of events. And we haven't talked for a bit. So how are you, man? How's your life?
It's been a while. Fall semester is going, teaching some elementary phys ed. Man, days are long, days are loud, but coaching some football now as well. So things are good. Bought a house this summer.
Nice. Congrats, dude.
Moving up. Thanks. Kind of a fixer upper, but up for the challenge, and put a couple months worked into it over the summer and kind of make it at home. Kids love it. And dating a woman for about a year and a half now. And yeah, things are good. Not that life doesn't ever get messy, but I would say I'm in a pretty good place.
That's awesome. I know your own house has been a huge goal for a while, right?
It really has. And I kind of got lucky, kind of knowing several people in the neighborhood. And unfortunately, the guy I bought it from was kind of going through what I was going through a few years ago. So I could really, empathize, and, facing some foreclosure and all the things. So offered him out and got a good deal on it. So
damn, good for you. Absolutely. So the same woman a year and a half, is this the same woman that we've chatted about before?
Yep. Same woman.
Okay. So what's maybe a win or a challenge with her in the relationship, please?
So I've always been a very patient man, and I think that she really appreciates that. She comes from a very traumatizing past with marriage and relationship, and she's got her demons just like we do. Several times throughout the relationship, she's really kind of become very insecure, and I don't know, almost feeling like she doesn't deserve me, and tries to push away. And I could feel the old me kind of, coming to the surface at times, trying to not take that personally, and it was hard to be a present man, with her in the moment, to say, this is a safe space. I'm not what your past is. And, I'm here because I care about you. Being that present, emotional, stable presence for her has been very rewarding. And I think making that change has really helped me in my fatherhood, has helped me in my relationship, has helped me in my friendships. has helped me become a better coach, a better teacher. And it's just really kind of shifted a lot of things in my life.
Yeah. So maybe I missed it there when you said that she's not felt maybe good enough for you at times. How have you handled that in particular? Because it seems like I mean, man, I've said this before and I'll say it again. You now compared to when we first met, total absolute night and day, right? I hope you feel that way. But when she
I appreciate that.
yeah, please,
Yeah.
when she's felt unworthy, so to speak, how do you handle that?
She's never really said that, but it's just kind of those moments where it's like, not to be egotistical here, but I am the prize, and she kind of feels that way. She accepts my leadership. She's actually praised my leadership. She's loved having kind of a man who's kind of in control of his life, and who can. I'm not controlling her by any means, but it's offering her a form of leadership that's safe, safety that she's never felt before in a relationship. And she trusts me, which is a huge thing I know from her past. She says all the time that I'm the only one that's allowed in her bubble, and it's a good.
Does that
place
mean
to
something
be.
else? Does that mean something?
No, and her saying that really kind of validates my work, and it really lets me, kind of celebrate the steps I've made and knowing who I can be. And the beautiful thing about where I'm at now is I don't feel like I'm a different person. My values may have just been sharpened a little bit, and understanding that I am a kind person. I'm just not a kind person who's going to be walked all over anymore. And, being able to have some boundaries with a lot of people in my life, and understanding that not everyone has to be my friend to have a happy life, has really helped me focus on the relationships that I care about.
Dang, yeah. So what's an example? Can you think of a time? I remember stories from, I don't know, 6 to 12 months ago when she felt really anxious and you were wondering, oh, do I need to push the relation? Do I need to advance the relationship because she's kind of asking or pushing right? So did you my question is around allowing her to feel uncomfortable, because this is such a theme with us recovering nice guys, let's say, that we don't want her to be uncomfortable, saying, we don't want her to lead too much. We want to lead. If she becomes emotional and then we try to kowtow, it's really her leading, and we're placating her, and that's never going to go anywhere. Well, so how have you handled that more recently, or allowing her to be uncomfortable at times?
Well, ironically, we find the most growth in our relationship when I actually make her uncomfortable, because she's kind of a homebody. She's got a very safe space, very safe bubble. She's very very reserved. She's got a fun side. She's got a wild side. It's there. You know what I mean? And it's getting her out of that comfort zone to help her grow, to help her understand what she can bring to this relationship as well. So it's not really trying to, manipulate situations to make sure she's comfortable and taken care of. I know she's badass. She's a badass nurse that takes care of a lot of people, and I praise that. I understand that she, that feminine can be fed as well, knowing how awesome she is in the world. And I tell her all the time that she makes me want to be a better person as well. So we challenge each other, and those relationships are really fueled by being out of our comfort zone, to be honest with you.
Nice. Hell yeah. I mean, you're like a model for this work. I'm not trying to fluff your skirt too much, but good times, man. Do you have anything else for the guys, or any questions you want to ask? Anything else?
No, it's good to see everybody. It's been a while. It's been kind of a crazy up and down the last, 3 or 4 months, with losing my job and getting my job back and buying a house, and, coaching this summer and coaching this fall. So I appreciate all of you and your stories, and keep them coming, fellas. The work you do is worth it.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Good stuff. So give us an update on you, man.
So I am pretty close to finalizing my divorce. We're about to go to trial. So the pre-trial is at the beginning of November, and the trial is at the end of November. So pretty soon I should be officially divorced. Well, there also is the chance I'll be divorced a little bit earlier if we come to an agreement. So that's where I'm sitting at right now. My family is with me. My wife, or ex-wife to be, is with me, and sleep in the same bed sometimes. Sometimes I sleep in the bed, just wherever I want to sleep, wherever I'm comfortable at. But I went through a period of time. it was exactly 8 months where my kids were gone and she was gone. And it
That's right.
was, yeah, it was, I had to be honest with myself. It was probably an experience that I, as a dude, needed. So I went through a lot of pain because I missed my kids. And it also gave me a lot of distance, and it allowed me to kind of break that residual spell that my wife probably had on me, or that spell I put on myself. So that was a good thing. And then it also allowed me, since we were separated, to get out there and see what the other world's like. So talk to other women, and it has been an adventure. And partly because of that, and also since my wife is back and seeing the dynamics that we have are still the same, and also noticing new things about our relationship that I didn't know before, since we had a lot of separation. I know I can't go back. There's just no way. I mean, I just can't. I mean,
And yeah, I know what you mean. That
there's
was
too
my
much.
little, yeah, go ahead.
There's too. It's like this. It's not the opportunity with other women. It's just like there's so much more opportunity out there, not just with other women, but in advancing my career, doing a different career, and taking chances. I've taken so many chances that I haven't taken in my life. And there's so much more so many more edges that I can push. And to push those edges, I can't be here. I got to go elsewhere.
Sure. I mean, give us an example if you would.
Sure. So I've sung karaoke for a while, but I'm pushing my edges with that. Sung in bigger crowds and stuff. Now, here's the funny thing, guys. I am not a singer. I am not a singer at all. Can't sing a lick, but I don't care. I just go there, have fun, and dance a little bit. And here's the other thing. I'm not a dancer either. Don't be thinking about any stereotypical, I should be able to dance. I just can't, but I love to dance. And it's a funny thing is that I know I can't dance, but it sounds like other people don't know that, because every once in a while people that tell me that I can. And I
Okay, I got
know.
to ask now that you said that, can you jump? I had to. I had
Can I
to.
jump?
Come on, we're
Oh, I used to be able
I grew up
to.
in the
I don't know.
90s,
I'm
late
getting
80s,
a little
90s. Yeah.
bit. But as
Just
for
joking, man. Yeah.
edges, the other edges, like dancing and learning how to really dance, and taking some other chances. And I have done stand-up comedy.
No
And
shit. Wow.
the funny thing is, man, I thought I told you this before. Maybe. Oh, you know what? It
I think it
wasn't.
was improv and like stuff like that, but I don't know about comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that, man. It was an exhilarating experience, man. And I was terrible. But I honed in on one person. There was one person that was just mesmerized by what I was saying. So it felt like, and it was a dude, and I felt like it was just me and him. And there was a whole bunch of people in there, and I focused on him. He was laughing, he was smiling. And so I was just having a grand time, man. It was just awesome. But I want to do more things like that, some bucket list things. Almost in a way sounds like I'm having a midlife crisis, but no, I want to push these edges because I want to get past a lot of fears. And I think that'll help me financially, and also from a relationship standpoint, get past those things that are keeping me stuck and keeping me in a spot where I feel like I am not reaching my potential from a relationship standpoint, financially, spiritually, all those things.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you're here. We've seen you grow in so many ways, in that time that she was away and the kids were away, that seems pretty scary at first. At least that's what it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what else did you learn from that time away about yourself when they were away? What did you learn about yourself?
So I thought this. So it's one thing that you can do certain things, but then it's another thing to prove it to yourself. And I think that when you're able to prove certain things to yourself, that adds to your self-esteem. It makes you feel more powerful inside, So for me, I always said I could go back to living alone and I'll be fine. If I don't see them, I'll be fine, because I have in my head that they're safe. And she wasn't allowing me to see them for a while. But I had it in my head that they're safe, so I wasn't concerned about that. But I missed them, but I
Yeah.
told myself that I could be alone and endure the pain and get through this and be okay on the other side. And here I am on kind of the other side. It's great to have them back, but I just learned so much more about myself. Now, I thought I could do these things, but to prove it to myself, man, that just adds a lot a lot of sugar to the tank.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Good to see you. Appreciate it, man. Absolutely. Thanks for raising your hand. Come on in.
So I kind of want to just lay a question on you guys and see if I can get any feedback. Has anybody had to deal with a boomerang wife or a boomerang ex-wife? And any tips, any advice?
Well, I mean, mine did. That's what part of my story. So tell us, and I'm happy for other guys to jump in too, but tell us a little bit more details.
Well, I mean, the whole time we were married, our last 6 years of being married, she would leave me and then come back and, not talk to me for a long time, then come back, and she had an affair in 2019. We finally got divorced in December of last year. So it's coming close to a year now that we've been divorced. Right after the divorce, she was drawing really close to me, getting affectionate. And I basically, according to my faith and my beliefs, I can't, I'd have to be married to be, to have sex with a woman. So, she knows that. And I let her know that then. And she said she's not ready to get married. She needed to work on herself and needed to get out of the marriage. I said, okay. And I basically went home after talking to her about that and figured that's it. I mean, I'm cutting her off. And if she texts me or something, I'll respond. So she texted me for like the next 3 days because I think she realized what just happened, But then she stopped because she was tired of being the initiator. So that was the beginning of the year. And then for a couple of months, we didn't talk. I went no contact. Then she started coming around again around my daughter's birthday. She started remembering when our daughter was a baby and remembering how good of a father I was. She started coming around again. So we've been kind of like dating, I would say, since March, the last 6 months maybe. And now all of a sudden she's gone silent.
Okay. Just for my own curiosity, and also I'm going to answer you in a different way here. Have you guys had sex in the last 6 months?
We came dangerously close to it. I basically stopped, but like I said, it's against my faith, and I don't want to go down that road unless I'm married, and she knows that. And like I said, we got dangerously close, and I realized I need to take some precautions anyway.
Sure. So I'm going to ask what you want, and I think you're prepared for that question. But so it seems as though, knowing you a little bit more, so it seems as though this is about something deeper, bigger than just what do you want. So are you trying to make a decision? What would be the decision based on? Your values?
I guess I'm just trying to see if there's any tips out there. I mean, I hear about like his wife came back and they got remarried. And that's a great success story. It's like, I wish that, my situation could be like that. But, I was getting my hopes up. And in these last 6 months, I forgot to mention, I mean, she got closer than ever. She was telling me she loved me. She told me that if she married anybody, it would be me. That's how close we were getting. So then all of a sudden, she brought up something that I wasn't paying child support because I stopped making as much money. And so she brought up, like, when is she going to see the child support? That became an issue. And I explained to her that there is no child support until I start making more money. That ever since then, she cut me off. She went no contact for 2 weeks. I heard nothing from her. And then now it's just, I hear something, sporadically from her, but it's always just business, with our daughter. That's all it is.
Okay. So if you were outside of yourself, if you weren't emotionally connected and you didn't have a biased opinion and you just looked at her actions, right? If I made a T-chart, on one side, I said, these actions precipitate her moving farther away, and these actions precipitate her moving closer to you. Where would her actions land from what you've been saying? Yeah.
Right now, she's far away emotionally.
Because why?
Oh, I can't really pinpoint that. And I liked your post this week where you talked about not trying to figure those things out.
Yeah, so, no, I mean, right. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but let me ask the question in a different way.
Yeah.
So you've told me she comes back around when she gets nostalgic. She gets close to you and emotionally senses that she loves you, but then she bounces away again. When child support went away, she ghosted you. Okay. So what is that? If you were a dispassionate outside observer, what would that tell you about her actions?
She's behaving like a 13-year-old girl, and I understand that now. And I see it very clearly. But like, now what? Now what?
Yeah. So when you ask for a tip, I want you to please just be fucking blunt with me. What do you mean a tip? Like, how can I trick her into loving me and forever? Or what's the tip?
No, I wouldn't want to do that. But it's just, is there anybody that's dealt with this? And then is there a success story? This happened for a couple of years, and then things became great. Or somebody going to tell me, get the fuck out of there now? Which is it?
What is a success story? I'm gonna fucking do heart surgery here. What's a success story mean?
Success story is getting back with her and back in a marriage and back on and working on us, not running away from her.
Okay, so if she married you but still acted like this 13-year-old girl, would you be cool with that?
To an extent, I would, but not constantly, like I'm dealing with constantly. So if it happened occasionally, sure. I mean, just like with us, we're a work in progress, and if she's willing to work on herself and make progress, that's great. But I'm not going to expect perfection either.
Sure. So, okay, let me show you what I wanted to show you. I showed some of this earlier on today, and I'm just being blunt with you. So
Yeah,
what
no,
I'm
please
hearing is
do.
like you're basically okay with her acting like a 13-year-old girl some great majority of the time is what it sounds like. And so what
Not
are
majority.
like that says well, that's what you're describing, in my opinion.
Right.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And
Right.
again, I have no dog in this fight, but that's just what I'm seeing. And so that means that and I've been there. I told the quick story I told earlier. Okay. So that means that your current standard of what you'll accept in a relationship is like a big chunk of the time she acts incredibly immature, plays games, ghosts you. And that's where your standard of relationship currently is. And that's just what I'm hearing. So I want to share something, no judgment, but that's what I want to share with you.
Okay.
So the 3 levels of relationship, David Data talks about relationship in this way. I've been more specific talking about relationship in this way to specifically address what you're asking me here. So level 1 is more surface level, what she wants to be seen, what you accept and want to be seen is much more surface. Her body, so to speak, your money, the power dynamic between the two of you. This is what you're describing to me. This is the immature. She comes, she goes, she ghosts me, she's emotional. She plays with me, it's about money. This is a surface level, quote unquote, relationship. This is, okay. The second level is more intellectual. This is what you're saying when we work on things, when you see each other's mind. Oh, you said this, and how does that make you feel? You say to each other. It's more verbal. And there's compromise. Hey, she's working on things. That's what the level of being seen is in that type of relationship. You both are shooting for that level. And what I think we all want and why we're here, I sure as hell know why I came to this work and why I teach this now, is because I always wanted a level 3 relationship where you see each other's soul, each other's heart. It feels like divinity or spirit is flowing between the two of you in relationship more than you could necessarily do, or differently than you could do on your own. I found my own heart and freedom and soul and spirit and divinity on my own when I was on my own. And it helped me to be on my own for a good amount of time, to find that, to clear away the fog of, her pussy, her breasts and her disapproval and her judgment of me. They were all right in front of me. So absolutely there's a level 3 with your own self. But also you want, I think, well, I do want a level 3 type of relationship. And we have to ask ourselves, does a woman that's in front of us have any idea about a level 3 relationship? Do we have an idea or a vision of a level 3 relationship? Do we have the skills and the vision and the perseverance and the guts to lead her and invite her to a level 3 type of relationship? So when you say a success story, I think you're wanting a level 3, but it really has to deal with your standards, so to speak. Like my quick story earlier, when my wife came back, I was dating other women and my wife came back. She wasn't even a level 2. She wasn't even talking about our relationship. She didn't recognize the compromises or the co-parenting that I was attempting to do. In fact, she told me she had no interest in co-parenting with me, and she never still has over the past 8 years, basically. What she was after seemingly was just a power dynamic and a backup plan for herself. And sure as fuck, I don't want a level 1 relationship, because now I know that there's level 3, and I started to see level 3 with women. And I learned how to lead into that. So this is this question we have to ask ourselves is, what are our standards? Yeah. And if our standards are, well, she can act super immature, ghost me, be a 13-year-old girl, and you're basically accepting of that, well, that's your level of standard. So
I'm not accepting that. I'm hoping that she'll come around. I mean, when like I said, she was talking about marriage for a little bit there. She was saying she loved me finally. So I thought I was getting progress, and then my hopes get up, and then I get shattered.
Sure.
So,
have you dated other women in the last however long?
No, I haven't.
So why not?
I don't think it'd be fair for another woman, because I'm still absolutely hooked on my ex-wife. Sorry. I don't like that about me, and I want to stop.
Sounds like an addict.
It is, without a doubt.
So what would you think you would need to break that?
I don't know. I mean, I thought going no contact was going to help. I did that for 2 months, and then she came back around, and I fell right for her again.
Yeah.
So it does feel a lot like an addict. It does.
Yeah. There's
It's
another
always
man that
it's always like that.
Yeah, I hear you. And like, it's your life, right? There's another man, real quick. I'm gonna bounce over to a couple guys, raise their hand.
Yep.
There's another man that I worked with one-on-one for about 4 months. And at the end of it, she came back around. They had sex. He kind of fell for her again. He acted like an addict. She's horrible for him. She's horrible to him. She's not ready for a relationship. She just dunks on his ass, insults him, like it's horrible. And at the end of our work together, he said, I'm willing to sacrifice my self-worth and my some other word like honor to see if she'll take me back. And he was so aware, at the very least, he was so aware that he was literally addicted and fine with it, that he said out loud, I'm willing to sacrifice my self-respect. She was a drug addict, an alcoholic as well, basically prescription drug addict. Okay. I'm willing to sacrifice my self-respect. So at the very least, through the work he had done, he'd become aware of that level of codependence and addiction that he had in this woman, but he's still making that choice. Like, we have to turn away from the alcohol if that's our problem. We have to deny the fucking meth or heroin if that's our problem. We have to turn the woman away if that's our problem, if we're addicted. And it's really a matter of sobriety from her. And that's really hard. I totally understand. Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate you opening up, man.
Thank you.
Good to see you, man.
Hey, Jeff, good to see you again. So just a quick question. What are your views about prenups? Did you guys get a prenup?
Yes. All my property is in a family estate. Absolutely.
Are you serious or?
Yeah. Yes.
So how do you go about it? Was she open to it, or did you have to convince her, or?
You say, I want a prenup.
Okay.
Yeah. And did I have to convince her? No, because she wants to be with me. She wants to marry me. We're absolutely cultivating a level 3 relationship, as I'm describing, right? And there's things that we have a business together, which she's a part of. And, I didn't say, all right, look, I'm going to make sure you're fucked if I leave you, and I want to leave you broken on the street. Like, I didn't say that, but my property, for instance, and the things I had before we met, yeah, those are things that I want to keep separate. So yeah.
So wouldn't bringing up a prenup strain the relationship? Is it like simulating a divorce?
No, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. You want to have these difficult discussions, what feel like challenging and difficult discussions. Tony Robbins says the quality of your life is based off of the quality of your questions. So the question is, well, what's going to be comfortable for me? Where are we going? And am I willing to have difficult conversations? Because it's okay if she feels uncomfortable. It's not your job to make your woman never feel uncomfortable.
So you guys went through a lawyer? Did you have separate lawyers or just one lawyer for both? Or
I have a lawyer that I put my family estate into, yeah, for myself.
so he did it for both, right? I mean, she didn't have her own lawyer or anything like that.
I'm not interested in going into more details. You have a different question about yourself?
Yeah, just that was what I was curious about, how to bring up that topic. So.
Yeah, you just bring it up. It's kind of like, how would you bring up if your woman started to get fat? You would say, I'm concerned about your health, and I want you to put in effort into this relationship because I'm interested in being connected with you on a soul level, on a heart level. I want to bloom divinity between the two of us, and I don't want anything to get in the way of that, including our health, right? Now, she's not going to be happy about it. It's similar to if she leaves a bunch of dirty pots and pans on the stove, which I've talked about before, right? It's, hey, I see the pots and pans. I'm curious. And you have to be real. You can't be defensive. It really starts with you. If you're angry, if you're fearful, if you're defensive, that's a non-starter. You don't bring that to your woman. You have to get into a place of stoic, calm emotion and curiosity. So the pans on the stove. Hey, I've noticed that the dirty pans have been on the stove for 4 or 5 days. And she gets all flustered, like, oh, right? It's like, hold on a minute. Let me ask. I say it to her. Hey, I'm really curious. Did you just not think about the pans on the stove? Did you actually want me to wash the pans? Did you think if you just left them there long enough that I would wash them? I'm really curious. And then she has a deeper discussion. Okay. I've been stressed this week. I was going to get to it. I haven't thought about it. And she's getting emotional. And what was saying, the reason that a woman grows is not because you're keeping a perfect life for her or because you never make her upset. A woman grows in trust and depth and connection when she becomes emotional, and you can hold space for that and you have empathy for that, and then you guide her forward in some way. Either you hold her, or you ask her to do something differently for you, or you talk about the depth of relationship. And through her emotional pain, through her emotional depth and uncertainty is where her femininity grows, not by trying to keep her life perfect.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. Come in. Are you the one on the forum that I've been chatting with a little bit the past couple of days? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I was hoping that,
At least
I'm
been
never
trying to.
sure. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm never sure exactly how I'm coming across when you're just reading, my typing, and everything is
Nah,
everything's
you're
with
good.
part, right? Everything is with because I care about you. Part of it was like porn. She brought up porn, and you said, "No, I'm never gonna use porn again as long as our sex is good," or something like that, right? She got upset.
Yeah, well, so we've been, going through a time. We've been trying to get out of this space here, this moving space. She moved out. I moved her out a couple of years ago because of the health issues, and I finally got out. That's really not the important part. The important part is right now. We see each other almost all the time, and now I live 2 doors down from her. But it finally came out that I was sort of like she wanted to see. I had a what do you call it? I had a relapse, and that hurt her a lot. But at the same time, she had broken rules about engagement with someone that she was flirting with and whatever, and we had set rules about that because I ended up okaying it because of the fact that it was an engagement like for us as a we've been together 17 and a half years.
So hold on, slow down a second for me. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So what do you mean by a relapse for you, and what do you mean that you okayed her relationship with another guy or something?
So a number of months ago, at school, she got no conversation, was approached by a guy, and she felt a physical connection to him, and she hadn't felt that that type or whatever, and she said ever, but it was just different, new, whatever. And again, at the time, our relationship's going pretty damn good, I think. There's definitely issues that are going on. I really need to get out of the hellhole that we were living in, but that's just a process. But she asked if what do you think? What would you think about, possibly, getting to know him more? And I said, well, what are your goals? And she said, really, it comes down to being, it's like a part of a fantasy. I think I would like to have a threesome or something, or voyeurism or something along those lines or whatever. And I was like, let me think about it. This is a big deal. Especially depending on, I have a core value of commitment, but I've always been open in sexuality and stuff like that, as far as play and possibilities, especially, after all these years, something different. And I spent a whole 2 days kind of going through every scenario that I can think of. If I allow it, if I don't allow it, if I allow it, it turns into this, just going down each pipeline and seeing how I would feel if that were what happened. And there was only, the only 2 that really bothered me were if she knew that it was going to be, that she really wanted more than that going into it. And then, or number 2, which is a core value, which this is why she came to me, because she knows this, that she doesn't tell me the truth. She doesn't follow through. And other than that, I was like, let's try. And I even interviewed people and talked to people who had done this. And 2 friends said they did it and actually really helped their sex life. They were having a tough time in their sex life, but it actually helped them, whereas we weren't. But I was like, oh, well, maybe it'll make it even better. As she's gotten older, she's gotten more drive. So anyway, time went on. They were kind of seeing each other. They hung out a couple times. Oh, and she had asked me too. She said, "Do you want to meet him?" Because he would be okay with meeting me. And she had told him that the idea might be toward a threesome, and he was okay with that. And I said, meeting him. Oh, that's interesting. I said, let me think about that too.
So after I thought about it, I said, well, let me jump in for time, buddy. Do you have a particular question?
Yeah. So anyway, so I had a relapse in use in drug use, but it really was it was super minor. and haven't since. It's been almost 6 months. And she also, like, she didn't sleep with him, but they had more interaction and play. And the thing was, is she waited like I think like 4 weeks before she told me that had happened. And I was kind of confused by that, and I didn't know what to think of it. And I kind of compartmentalized at the time. And later, I really was upset that you didn't. We were supposed to meet. So my question is, like, now it moved on. Through this whole period, I did all the things that from my relapse that she had wanted to see, to try to show that, you know, I'm really working on myself, and she knows all the stuff that I'm doing. And there really wasn't any rules for her, and unfortunately, now I've gotten out of the place, and she's already slept with him, and she says she's not really into him, like she's not in love with him, she's just kind of infatuated, and we have a super tight bond, and I don't want to lose our friendship. And I do think if she was healthy and I was healthy, I don't know how to how to stick to my core, like, feeling, or how to go about that. Like, it's like giving her a chance, I say, you know, because it should be like, that's it, you broke that rule, I'm done. But we have such a good friendship that I want to hold on to that. But I feel like she's not being held accountable. So I don't know how, like, my question is, how do I hold her accountable? How do I make space? Like,
Okay.
you know,
Okay, that's a good question, and you're probably not going to like my answer. How can we hold someone else accountable to a boundary or a value that we ourselves have broken? Meaning, you said that one of your core values is what was it? Monogamy, would you say, or what was the core value?
Yeah, like a commitment to, like, again.
Okay, so
yeah,
commitment.
so it's like if you talk,
sure.
it's okay.
Okay, thank you. So commitment. Now, I'm not an expert on poly relationships. I'm not an expert in open relationships. I don't want an open relationship. So, you know, I've been in the spot, I told you a little bit story earlier, I'm not going to go into, where I would have renewed something completely from scratch again after I had been dating other people. That doesn't sound like what you're asking me, though. And I wasn't trying to, let's say, hold her accountable to something from the past. Okay.
Right.
So if you're wanting to renew something completely, and this is just really fast because we're out of time, is that there has to be a death of the old relationship. There has to be a burying and a grieving of the old relationship. There has to be a time apart where you both are single and completely open to being with other people, where you're both living on your own as if you know, completely were going to be split for the rest of your life. Because if that foundation isn't there, then one or both of you are still hanging on to this hope of going back in the past, or one or both of you are still like dependent on this thing from the past, because either you or she have both broken each other's boundaries. Each broken each other's values and integrity. And she'll never truly respect you as a man if you just take her back without ending the relationship and having time apart. And she won't be able to instinctually be attracted to you if she doesn't respect you. Right? So what it sounds like is you're wanting something deeper, but you can't hold her accountable if you've already broken your own integrity, so to speak.
Right? Well, my problem is we're both afraid that if we don't hold on to the friendship and all that is very, very tight, that if we do separate, that we may not try to reunite it and stuff, because we both tend to, like, you know, move on from people and not really do that.
Sure, I understand. Sure, I understand the fear, but if we ever begin a decision from a place of fear, that's a mistake. We have to begin a decision from the place of groundedness, of calm clarity. And maybe we have fear along the way when we step toward enacting that integrous decision. But if we have fear and then we make a decision, it's never going to be the right one. It's never going to be one of heart and true deep values, so to speak. Okay, and then one other thing is, if the two of you are so, let's say, meant to be, and if this is so something that the both of you want, then you would each, so to speak, let each other free, and you would each come back renewed to start something new and fresh, if that were truly what you want. And so I understand that it's fearful, but I think you'll see basically every man that I've ever worked with, every man that's continued with this work and gone through, like walked through hell and didn't just quit or revert, every man that's walked through hell and gone forward. And this was a post in the forum today too, of being single, of renewing, of, you know, moving through the fear based on the decision, come from a healthy value-based place. every man has been happy with himself and the outcome and the new renewed life that he has. What was saying earlier too, whether you're single or you get back together. And so that fear, it's, do we want to let fear run our life is really an ultimate choice. I appreciate you coming in. Stay on the forum, keep asking questions, man. I appreciate you guys here. I don't have time to share this clip of a video, but I'm going to show the thumbnail, and I suggest you guys do a search on YouTube for this. It's Jordan Peterson shares how to heal from emotional trauma with Lewis Howes. So if you search Lewis Howes, Jordan Peterson, how to heal, or if you want to take a screenshot, I'll leave it up here for another 10 seconds. If you want to take a screenshot, I'd recommend watching this. And I've got at the timestamp here of 8:36. I was going to show the next 2 or 3 minutes, but we're out of time and I don't have a chance to put it in context here. So check that out. Okay. And so this particular call is our last Tuesday evening call. If you want to learn more about me, my other stuff, my other calls, right, reach out to me, greatmenmovemountains.com. I'd be happy to have a conversation with any one of you guys, no strings attached. My email is jeff@greatmenmovemountains.com, or you can go to my contact form, greatmenmovemountains.com/contact, right, and reach out to me. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you on the forum, right? If you guys have questions, reach out to me. Okay, I'll see you next time.